Hello everyone. Welcome back to Fluent English. We're so happy you're here with us today. Whether you're listening on your way to work, studying at home, or practicing English during a break, thank you for spending some time with us.
Hey everyone, it's great to have you with us again. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We've got a really useful lesson today, and honestly, it's one that confuses a lot of English learners.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I remember when one of my friends was learning English and asked me about the difference between if I have, if I had, and if I had had. And you know what? Even many advanced learners aren't completely confident using these structures.
That's true. The funny thing is that all three phrases are correct English. The problem isn't that they're wrong. The problem is knowing when to use each one.
Exactly. Today we're going to break everything down in a simple, practical way. No complicated grammar explanations. Just real English that people actually use in everyday conversations.
By the end of this episode, you'll understand when to use if I have, when to use if I had, and when to use if I had had. You'll also learn how native speakers use these structures naturally.
We'll give you lots of examples, practice opportunities, and some easy tricks to help you remember everything. If you've ever stopped in the middle of a sentence and thought, wait, which one should I use? Then this episode is for you.
Before we jump in, we'd love to hear from you. Which phrase confuses you the most? If I have, if I had, or if I had had, let us know in the comments.
And if you're enjoying our lessons, don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to Fluent English, and share it with a friend who's learning English too.
All right, let's get started and make these confusing English phrases much easier to understand.
Let's start with the simplest structure. If I have. This structure talks about a real possibility in the present or future.
Think of it as something that could actually happen. The basic formula is very simple. Subject plus have plus something, then we often connect it to a result. If I have time, I'll call you. If I have money, I'll buy it. If I have a chance, I'll visit you.
Notice that these situations are possible. Maybe I will have time. Maybe I will have money. Maybe I will have a chance.
Here are a few more examples. If I have enough energy, I'll go to the gym. If I have your number, I'll send you a message. If I have a day off, I'll relax at home. If I have good weather this weekend, I'll go hiking.
Let me give you some examples from my own life. If I have coffee in the morning, I'm usually more productive. If I have free time in the evening, I like reading a good book.
Same here. If I have a busy week, I try to prepare my meals in advance. It makes life much easier.
Now let's make this interactive. Mateo, if you have a free weekend, what do you usually do?
If I have a free weekend, I usually spend time with family or watch soccer. What about you?
If I have a free weekend, I love exploring new places around town.
And listeners, here's a question for you. If you have a completely free day tomorrow, what will you do? Think about your answer and write it in the comments.
Great idea. Now let's look at negative forms. If I don't have time, I'll do it tomorrow. If I don't have enough money, I'll wait until next month. If I don't have transportation, I'll stay home.
Notice that we simply use don't have for the negative form.
That's right, very simple.
Here's some quick practice. Can you complete these sentences? If I have extra money, I will. If I have a vacation next month, I will. If I don't have enough time today, I will. Try saying your answers out loud.
Speaking out loud is important because it helps your brain connect grammar with real communication.
One more thing, native speakers often shorten the second part. If I have time, I'll help. If I have money, I'll go. If I have space, I'll bring it. Short, natural, and common.
So remember, if I have is used for real possibilities in the present or future.
Exactly, real possibility, real condition, real future result. That's the key idea for this first structure.
Now let's move to our second structure. If I had. This one is different because we're talking about something imaginary, unlikely, or not true right now.
That's why many teachers call this a hypothetical situation. The formula is, if plus subject plus had plus noun or object, then we usually use would in the result. If I had more money, I would travel more.
Notice the difference. If I have more money means maybe I'll get more money. If I had more money means I don't have that money now, but I'm imagining it.
Exactly. Let's look at several examples. If I had a bigger house, I would invite more guests. If I had more free time, I would learn another language. If I had a private chef, I would never cook. If I had $1 million, I would travel around the world.
I love those examples because they're easy to imagine. Here's one from my life. If I had unlimited vacation days, I would visit a different country every month.
Wow, that sounds amazing. If I had a superpower, I would choose teleportation.
That's a good one. And listeners, here's another question. If you had $1 million today, what would you do first? Leave your answer in the comments.
This structure is extremely common because people love talking about dreams, wishes, and imaginary situations.
Let's do a short conversation. If you had a free ticket to any country, where would you go?
If I had a free ticket, I would go to Japan. What about you?
If I had a free ticket, I would probably go to Italy.
See how natural that sounds?
Very natural. Now let's talk about informal and formal use. In both casual and formal English, if I had works perfectly, you might hear, if I had more experience, I'd apply for that job. Or, if I had more information, I'd make a better decision.
Native speakers often contract I would into I'd. If I had more money, I'd buy it. If I had more time, I'd help you. If I had a car, I'd drive there.
Here's a quick practice activity. Finish these sentences. If I had more confidence, I would. If I had an extra hour every day, I would. If I had a personal assistant, I would. Speak your answers out loud.
First tip, think about things that are not true now. Second tip, use this structure to talk about dreams and wishes. Third tip, remember that would often follows the condition.
And we'd love to see your examples. Write one sentence using if I had in the comments.
Let's review. If I have talks about real possibilities. If I had talks about imaginary or unreal situations in the present. Understanding this difference will make your English much more natural.
Welcome back. So far we've learned the difference between if I have and if I had. Now it's time for the phrase that makes many learners nervous, if I had had.
Ah, yes, this is the one that often surprises people because it sounds like the word had is repeated by mistake, but it's actually correct grammar.
Exactly. And once you understand the idea behind it, it's much easier than it looks. The basic formula is, if plus subject plus had plus noun or object, we use this structure to talk about an unreal situation in the past.
In other words, we're imagining a different past. Something did not happen, but we're talking about what the result would have been if it had happened.
Here's a simple example. If I had had more money, I would have bought the car. The meaning is that I didn't have enough money, and I didn't buy the car.
Let's look at a few more examples. If I had had more time, I would have finished the project. If I had had your phone number, I would have called you. If I had had better directions, I wouldn't have gotten lost. If I had had enough sleep, I would have felt better.
Notice that we're talking about the past every time. The situation is over. We can't change it. We're simply imagining a different result.
Here's a real-life example from me. Last year, I missed a flight because of traffic. I can say, if I had had more time, I would have caught my flight.
That's a perfect example. A few years ago, I forgot to bring an umbrella during a storm. I could say, if I had had an umbrella, I wouldn't have gotten soaked.
And listeners, think about your own life. Have you ever missed an opportunity? Have you ever forgotten something important? Try creating a sentence with if I had had.
Let's do a quick dialogue. If you had had more free time last weekend, what would you have done?
If I had had more free time, I would have visited some friends. What about you?
If I had had more free time, I would have finished a book I was reading.
Very natural. Now let's talk about sounding natural when you say this phrase. Many learners try to pronounce every word separately, but native speakers often connect the sounds. You'll hear something closer to, if I'd had more time, if I'd had enough money.
That's right. You don't have to speak quickly, but listening for these contractions can help you understand native speakers better.
Let's compare all three structures one more time. If I have time, I'll help you. Real future possibility. If I had time, I would help you. Imaginary present situation. If I had had time, I would have helped you. Imaginary past situation.
That's the big picture right there. If you're listening and thinking, wow, that's actually simpler than I expected, you're not alone.
Before we move on, write one sentence using if I had in the comments. Practice is the fastest way to remember it.
And remember, don't worry about perfection. Focus on communicating your ideas clearly.
Quick review of this section. If I had is used for unreal situations in the past and often appears with would have in the result clause.
Now let's talk about some common mistakes. Honestly, I've made grammar mistakes while learning languages too. Everyone does.
Same here, mistakes are part of learning. The important thing is understanding why they happen. Let's start with mistake number 1. Incorrect. If I have more money, I would buy a car. Correct. If I have more money, I will buy a car. Or, if I had more money, I would buy a car.
The problem is that learners often mix two different grammar patterns together. Real condition and imaginary condition need different structures.
Exactly. Mistake number 2. Incorrect. If I had more money, I will buy a car. Correct. If I had more money, I would buy a car.
Again, we're talking about an imaginary situation, so would is the natural choice.
Mistake number 3. Incorrect. If I had have more time, I would finish it. Correct. If I had more time, I would finish it.
This happens because learners know have is involved somewhere, but they put it in the wrong place. After if I had, we usually go directly to the noun or object.
Mistake number 4. Incorrect. If I had more time yesterday, I would finish it. Correct. If I had had more time yesterday, I would have finished it.
Why is the first sentence wrong? Because we're talking about a past situation. Yesterday is finished. The action belongs in the past.
Here's a funny example. Someone once said, if I had had more coffee. That sentence isn't impossible, but it's definitely not something you need to worry about today.
Thankfully, let's keep things simple.
Here are some practice prompts. Correct this sentence. If I have $1 million, I would buy a yacht. Correct this sentence. If I had enough money yesterday, I will buy the ticket. Correct this sentence. If I had have a car, I would drive.
Remember, making mistakes doesn't mean you're bad at English. Every fluent speaker has made thousands of mistakes. That's how learning works.
Absolutely. Focus on progress, not perfection. Every mistake teaches you something useful.
And if you've made any of these mistakes before, don't worry. You're in very good company.
The key is noticing the pattern and practicing it until it feels natural.
All right, it's time for some interactive practice. We're going to play a quick game called Choose the Correct Sentence. Speak your answer out loud before we explain it. Situation 1. You might get free tickets tomorrow. Option A. If I have tickets, I'll go. Option B. If I had tickets, I'll go.
The correct answer is A. We're talking about a real future possibility. If I have tickets, I'll go.
Situation 2. You're imagining being rich. Option A. If I have more money, I would travel. Option B. If I had more money, I would travel.
The correct answer is B. This is an imaginary situation. If I had more money, I would travel.
Situation 3. You missed a concert last month because you were busy. Option A. If I had had more time, I would have gone. Option B. If I had more time, I would go.
The correct answer is A. We're talking about an unreal situation in the past.
Situation 4. You expect to receive a bonus next week. Option A. If I have extra money, I'll save it. Option B. If I had extra money, I'll save it.
Again, A is correct because the possibility is real and future-focused.
Here's a variation. In very casual conversation, native speakers often use contractions. If I'd had more time. If I'd had enough money. If I'd known. Learning these patterns can improve your listening skills.
That's a great point, and now here's your challenge. Create 3 sentences, one with if I have, one with if I had, and one with if I had had. Say them out loud and then post them in the comments.
The more you use these structures, the more natural they'll become.
Real conversation matters more than perfect grammar every single time.
We've covered a lot today, so let's finish with a quick review. We learned that if I have is used for real possibilities in the present or future. We learned that if I had is used for imaginary situations in the present. And we learned that if I had had is used for imaginary situations in the past.
Those are the 3 big ideas to remember. Real future possibility, imaginary present situation, imaginary past situation.
If you can recognize those 3 meanings, you'll know which structure to choose. And remember, fluency doesn't come from memorizing rules. It comes from using English regularly.
Think about your own conversations this week. Can you use one of these structures naturally? Can you notice native speakers using them?
We'd love to hear your examples. Leave a comment below with one sentence using each structure. And if you found this lesson helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Fluent English.
Your support helps us create more lessons and reach more English learners around the world.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep enjoying the learning process.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Take care, stay motivated, and keep building your confidence in English. See you next time.